if you want to know if I was bummed to leave, yes. And we just, Netflix is doing that 90s show. It's a reboot of that 70s show. And I went and did, unfortunately I have a day job on this show, but I went and did one episode of it. And it was the most fun you can have as a human, because you were back with everyone who was on the show, and it was like going to a great reunion or something. I look at these teenagers on these great news shows now, and I think, oh my, what would I have had to do if luckily the internet didn't exist when we started. The fact that everyone has a camera, we were, I was such an idiot when we started 70s show. If people have been recording stuff outside of the show, I had no idea what I was doing. I feel bad for the kids who are getting famous now, because there's no space to go be yourself, right before I did Home Economics, I played some really evil characters. I played David Duke in Black Klansman, who's like, I was only getting offers to play like neo-Nazis and white supremacists. It's like, maybe it's time to, like, what's going on in your life bleeds into it. And certainly on 70s show, everything our characters were going through, we were going through as kids. We were teenagers when the show started. And here, I just had kids and was learning to deal with that. And my character's in the same place.
Hello everyone, I'm Rajani and welcome to Speakeasy. If you're a fan of That 70s Show, you need to calm down and it's your lucky day. But there's so much more to him than just that. He's witty, he's talented. My guest today is Topher Grace. Hello, welcome to Zoom TV and welcome to India.
Thank you for having me.
All over the globe for the show, but India has a lot of fans for That 70s Show as well. So I'm sure they're going to be very, very excited.
Oh, thank you.
But I want to know something. Was it easy for you to move on from something that popular? I know one of the reasons that you left also was to do something drastically different from what you already were doing for so many years. But was it easy for you to move on, detach, and completely let go so that you could imbibe other new characters?
Well, yeah, it's weird. It's kind of like there's your heart and your head. Like your head is saying, it's kind of like leaving high school. You go, I don't want to leave my friends. These are all my best friends. I don't want to leave them and go to college. But you should go to college. You know what I mean? If you have the opportunity. And same thing here. I was like, you kind of never want to leave in one sense. And then, your head's telling you should try different things. For me, what was really important was doing different characters, not for other people, but for me. Like I've been able to play, right before I did Home Economics, I played some really evil characters. I played David Duke in Black Klansman, who's like, I played evil fictional characters, but he's a real life evil person. And then I played a fictional guy in Black Mirror. And it's actually one of the things that led me to want to go back to do network television and a role like Tom Hayworth, which isn't dissimilar to Eric Foreman, which is I thought I was only getting offers to play like neo-Nazis and white supremacists. It's like, maybe it's time to maybe I went a little too far in that direction. But for me, the thing that has kept it so interesting for so many years is doing lots of different things. But if you want to know if I was bummed to leave, yes. And we just, Netflix is doing that 90s show. It's a reboot of that 70s show. And I went and did, unfortunately I have a day job on this show, but I went and did one episode of it. And it was the most fun you can have as a human, because you were back with everyone who was on the show, and it was like going to a great reunion or something.
That's wonderful. Here's another connection. In the start of my interview, I did mention that you can be a fan of the show, but there's so much more to Topher Grace than just that show. And rightly so.
Not that much more. Well, you know what happens is you just go, if I do the same thing over and over again, which I am loving doing, after a long period of time, I'm going to get bored. And I won't. And I've met the actors in Hollywood who have done the same thing over and over again, and it's not as good as it used to be, because they don't have that thing that excites them every day. I'm still so excited to go to work every day, because I'm always doing something that's different than the last thing I did, and that to me is worth more than the money that my agents wished that I made.
That's a good thing to have. That's always a good thing. When you were in That 70s Show, you were almost growing up with the show, right? All of y'all were young. You all were having those college experiences, which kind of was also happening in the show. Now with home economics, when you sort of obviously came on board, you were kind of going through similar experiences. You know, you were the dad of two, then, you know, during the pandemic that was happening to you. It's kind of strange how the most two important years of your life was parallelly happening both on screen and off screen for you.
Yeah, when you're doing a TV show, you have to be careful about what characters you're playing and what they're about, because it's interesting. You're right. It's kind of like you're playing a character, but if you're playing a character for so long, a lot of you and your life experience and what's going on in your life bleeds into it. And certainly on 70s show, you know, everything our characters were going through, we were going through as kids. We were teenagers when the show started. And here, I just had kids and was learning to deal with that. And my character's in the same place. So you wind up stealing a lot from your life when you're doing one of these shows that goes many seasons and many episodes. And I'm glad it's been on these two shows because I love both of them. I love all the people I'm working with. You know, there is that kind of, you know, it's about a family, but you start to actually feel like a real family. And yeah, it's a wonderful thing. You remember that movie Boyhood that followed a boy like 12 years?
Of course.
That's kind of what these wind up feeling like when you watch them back, because this is like a comedy version of that, where if I ever watch a rerun of 70s show, I go, my God, that is like, I was having my first experience with this, and then we were doing an episode about it. And I'm sure when I look back, I'll think the same thing. I'm like changing diapers at home, and then I get to work and they hand me diapers and a kid, and I got to change diapers again.
I'm sure you remember this quote where Red told you that yelling is the only part of being a father that I enjoy, right? In that show.
I don't remember that line, but it sounds like that's from that show.
Yeah. Besides, you're a dumbass, he did say a few of these also.
Sure, you certainly heard that a lot, yeah.
You know, so he said yelling is the only part of being a father I really enjoy. So I want to know how this quote plays in your head, in your present show.
Well, I mean, we're not big yellers, my wife and I don't think Tom and Marina, the parents on Home Economics, are big yellers either. I think there's a lot of drama that goes on with the Hayworths. This season, they find out they have another sibling, so there's even more drama to come. But I love the way they handle drama. They do sometimes yell, but it's mostly, it's very childish because they're siblings. And, you know, I don't know if you have brothers and sisters. I have a sister, but
a sister.
When you get around your family that you started with, you know, your first family, you just regress a little bit. Like you become, you know, 11 or something again. And so I think that's my favorite part, is when there's high drama in the Hayworth family, when Connor, my brother, and Sarah, my sister, and I are in a situation and they revert to being like a bunch of 12-year-olds fighting over something, but they're adults. I mean, they have their own kids, but it's great to be around family for that reason, I think.
So if you had to sort of summarize your fatherhood experience on Home Economics, like he says, Red says it's yelling for him, how would you describe it? What would you say that is?
Well, you know, it's funny. We had just had our second child during the pandemic, right before I started filming the show. And my character had, I guess Tom and Rena went to have one more kid, and they accidentally had twins. And I went, oh, this is a good, things need to be a little bit more projected on television for people to feel them at home, right? They need to be a little bit bigger than they are in real life. And I went, this is how I feel. Like having a second kid for me felt like what having twins looks like. Like I was so underwater with it. And then I thought, oh my God, what if I'd had twins? I'd be, you know, a nightmare. But I would say, oh gosh, I don't know. I would say sleeping. Instead of yelling, I would say sleeping. I would substitute the word sleeping.
You know, I've seen a few episodes. And I'll tell you what's more interesting is the fact that you are so uncomfortable and obviously not happy with the fact that your publisher turns out to be well, Connor. And he has the most weird ideas for marketing. which of course includes today's social media. I want to know, Topher, you come from a time in a show that was hugely popular then, and that had all weird things. I wonder how things would have been different then if there was social media and there was
Oh my, I
TikTok.
think about this all the time, is what would I have had to have done as a teenager? I look at these teenagers on these great news shows now, and I think, oh my, what would I have had to do if I was, I mean, luckily the internet didn't exist when we started, or it was just, I think I remember going to set up Laura Prepon's computer with her the first season. It was one of those neon Apple computers, and looking at a website for the really rudimentary website and going, oh, okay, so this is the internet. Like, I couldn't imagine if I had to live tweet along with the show, or just the fact that everyone has a camera. I mean, we were, I was such an idiot when we started 70s show. If people have been recording stuff outside of the show, I mean, I had no idea what I was doing. I feel bad for the kids who are getting famous now, because there's just no space to go be yourself,
But yeah, I think you're dealing with TikTok pretty okay in the show. I think you kind of managed to make yourself famous.
That's not, no, you're talking about the second episode. I have to do a virtual press tour like this. And I think everyone was, the writers were, kind of dealing with how they had to do press and stuff during the pandemic. And my character's trying to talk different podcasts. Eventually, as you know, my character gets on live with Kelly and Ryan. We actually flew to New York and shot with them. And it's been a really cool season to take this book that was just the narration device at the beginning of the show, and to have the show go on long enough that now the book's coming out and people are affected by it. And if we do season 4, I think they want to make the book become a TV show. So there'll be a TV show inside of the TV show.
I love that. Thank you so much, Topher. I want to read the book as well, so I hope I get it. Please send it to me, okay? There
This
you
is
go.
it. I took a copy with me.
The masterpiece. There
That
you
guy right
go.
there. Yep, Home
Legend.
Economics, my weekend reading right here.
All right. Thank you so much, Topher. You're amazing. Thank you so much for chatting with
Oh, I
me.
appreciate it. Thanks.
Sending you lots of love.
Thank you. All right, see you soon.
Bye. Thank you.